Okay, so now we're going to do 237 minus 148. The first thing I'm going to do is line my problem up vertically. So I've put my larger number on top, 237, and I am subtracting 148. The first thing I do is I look at my ones place, and I notice I've got 7 on top and 8 on the floor. Well, if there's more on the floor, we have to go next door. So we have to go over to the tens place because we can't subtract 8 away from 7 because 8 is more than 7. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow a 10 from the tens place so that I can subtract my ones. So here I will model my number. I have 2 hundreds, I have 3 tens, and I have 7 ones. So that's 237, and I am going to take a 10 and move it over to my ones place so that I am able to subtract. So I have to move it to the ones. So there's my 200. All right, so now I have 2 tens because remember, I have moved one of my tens over to the ones place. So now I have a 10 over here with my 7 ones. So here is my 10 I've moved over to my ones place. So we have 1 less 10 because we moved it over. Now we've got to break the 10 into ones because we've moved that 10 over into the ones place. 10 ones equals 110. So I've got my 200. Okay, now I have 2 tens in the tens place. Here's that 10 I moved over to the ones place and my 7 ones. All right, but remember, I've got to break that 10 up into 10 ones. So now I have my 10 ones. We have 10 more ones. So if I add my 10 ones with my 7 ones, I no longer have just 7 ones, I have 17 ones. So now I can subtract my ones place. So 17 ones minus 8 ones. So I can cross out my 8 ones that I'm subtracting, and that's going to leave me with 9 ones because 17 minus 8 is 9. All right, so now I have 2 tens remaining in the tens place, but I'm subtracting 4 tens. Wait a minute. There's 4 on the floor. So we're going to have to go next door. There's that 4 on the floor. Well, I can't take 4 away from 2, so I have to go over to that hundreds place. All right. So I'm going to model my number that I have. So I have that 200. I've got 2 tens, and remember, I already moved over here where I have 17 ones, and I subtracted the 8, which gave me the total of my 9 ones. Now I've got to move 100 over to the tens place. I've got to borrow it so that I can subtract my tens. And here's my 1 still that I've already regrouped and subtracted to get my remainder of 9 ones, or my difference. So we have 1 less 100 because, see, we borrowed 1 and moved it over to the tens place. So now it's over here. And we have to break that 100 into 10 tens because it is now in the tens place. So I have my 100, and if you remember, we moved that 100 over here with the 2 tens that we had, and then we've got the ones that we've already regrouped and subtracted, which gave us 9 ones left. All right, so now we got to break that 100 up. 10 tens make a 100. Whoops. Sometimes mistakes happen, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tens, which equal that 100. And when I add my 10 tens that I have borrowed with my 2 tens I already have, it gives me a total, look right there, 12 tens. So now we have 10 more tens with the 2 tens we already had, which gives us that total of 12 tens. And now I'm set up to subtract my 12 tens. I'm going to take 4 away from them. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And 12 minus 4 is going to give me 8 tens. And then I'm going to come over and look at my hundreds place. Well, I have a 100 left, and I am subtracting 100. 100 minus 100 is 0. So once again, this 0 we don't need to put there because it's still 89 with or without that 0. So 200, and I subtracted my hundreds, so 237 minus 148 gives me a difference of 89. All right, so now I have 230 minus 115. We're going to line it up vertically. Oh, notice I see a 0 already in my ones place. We look at our ones place first. Well, I've got 0 on top and 5 on the floor. And we know if there's more on the floor, go next door. If you have nothing, you can't take away from nothing. We've got to borrow. So we've got 5 on the floor, 5 is more, so we have to go next door to our tens place and borrow so that we can subtract our ones place. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take 110 from the tens place. So let's model our number. We have 230. And right now, I have 0 ones. 230, 0 ones. I've got to bring that 10 over. And now we're going to move it. So we still have that 200. I've got 2 tens now in my tens place. So there's my 2 tens. Because I've moved a 10 over to the ones place. So my 10 is now over here. Okay, we have 1 less 10 because we moved a 10 over to our ones place. Well, now we've got to break that 10 into 10 ones. Right, so I still have those 200s. I've got my 2 tens left. And now remember, I moved a 10 over here to my ones place, but I can't have a 10 in the ones place. I have to make it into ones. Well, there are 10 ones in 1 10. So there are my 10 ones. We have 10 more ones. Well, 10 ones plus the 0 ones I started with is going to give me a total of 10 ones in my ones place now. So now I can subtract my ones place. 10 minus 5 is going to give me 5 remaining. So 10 minus 5 gives me a difference of 5. Okay, now I can subtract my tens. I have 2 tens and I'm subtracting 1 10. Take 1 10 away. 2 minus 1 is 1. Well, I have 2 hundreds and I'm taking away 1 100. Cross out 1 100. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that means that 230 minus 115 equals 115.